The Rococo or Late Baroque movement is an early to late 18th century French artistic movement and style affecting several aspects of the arts, including architecture, painting, sculpture, and interior design. The word Rococo is a derivative of the French term rocaille, which means rock and shell garden ornamentation, and consists of asymmetrical shapes, often revealing a C or S. Throughout the 18th century in France, a new, wealthy, and prominent middle class was beginning to rise, even though the royals and nobility continued to be patrons of the arts. Consequent to Louis XIV's death and the abandonment of Versailles, the Paris high society became the curators of style. This style, primarily used in interior decoration, came to be called Rococo. The father of Rococo painting was Jean-Antoine Watteau, who invented a new genre called fêtes galantes, which were scenes of courtship parties. Watteau was influenced by genre scenes of everyday life that was quite popular in the Netherlands. He is best known for his illustrations of elegantly dressed figures gathered in outdoor spaces, conversing and enjoying music. He is credited with inventing the genre of fêtes galantes, scenes of rustic and tranquil charm, saturated with an air of theatricality. Some of his best-known subjects were drawn from the world of Italian comedy and ballet. While Watteau's paintings seem to epitomize the aristocratic elegance of the regents, he never had aristocratic patrons. His buyers were middle class, such as bankers and dealers. Jean-Marc Nattier was a French Rococo painter noted for his portraits of the ladies of King Louis XV's court in classical mythological attire. The most famous examples of his straightforward portraiture are the Marie Leczinska at the Dijon Museum. Nattier's gracefully charming portraits of court ladies in this style were very trendy. Nattier aspired to be a history painter, but the French financial crisis of 1720 all but ruined him, but he was grateful to turn to portraiture, which was more profitable. Nattier's charismatic portraits of court ladies in this mode were very fashionable, partly because he could beautify a sitter while also keeping in mind her likeness. He served as official portraitist to the four daughters of Louis XV. Nicolas Pineau was a French woodcarver and interior designer, and also a leader in the development of interior decorating in the light, asymmetric, lavishly decorated Rococo style. The French architect went to Russia and introduced the Rococo style to the newly founded city of St. Petersburg. The Rococo in Russia flourished in St. Petersburg under the protection of Peter I and Elizabeth. In 1716, Pineau was engaged to work for Peter the Great in Russia with the architect Alexander Jean-Baptiste Leblond. His contract specified that he was to be engaged in ornamental sculpture. But after the death of Leblond in 1719, he was also able to provide ambitious architectural projects. He participated in the decoration of the palace at Peterhof. Designed by architect Jules Hardouin-Mansart, the Hall of Mirrors was built between 1678 and 1684. It was the grandiose setting of many 17th and 18th century royal ceremonies and festivities. His work in Versailles included the Hall of Mirrors, the north and south wings, the great and small stables, the orangery, the Grand Commune, the royal chapel, and many more. Jules Hardouin-Mansart was a French architect and city planner to King Louis XIV, who completed the design of Versailles. His first known work for the king was Chateau Duval in the forest of Saint-Germain in 1674. In 1675, Mansart became official architect. Jean-Baptiste Pigalle was a French sculptor noted for his stylistically varied and original works. He was also an original and intelligent portrait sculptor, as is evident in his bust of Diderot and in the nude Voltaire, an anatomically accurate version of the aged philosopher that caused an uproar when first shown. Pigalle's most famous work, Voltaire, was funded by public donation as well as contributions from Frederick II, King of Prussia. It was the first statue in France erected to a living writer, and the nude composition caused an utter scandal when it was first exhibited. The overly naturalist portrayal of the patriarch Voltaire prompted a unanimous disgust and rejection. Clodion, originally named Claude Michel, was a French sculptor whose works represent the quintessence of the Rococo style. Clodion worked mostly in terracotta, his preferred subject matter being nymphs, satyrs, bacchantes, and other classical figures sensually portrayed. Works like The Intoxication of Wine are wholly within the decorated Rococo traditions. Clodion was born into a family of sculptors. He studied with his uncle, Lambert Sigisbert Adam, a prominent sculptor whose work was significant in transforming the dynamic Baroque style into the more delicate Rococo. Clodion also worked with the famous Rococo sculptor Jean-Baptiste Pigalle. In 1759, The Royal Academy awarded Clodion the grand prize for sculpture. André Charles Buell, who was named King's cabinetmaker, chaser, gilder, and engraver in 1672, headed an important workshop at the Louvre. He did not invent the metal and tortoiseshell marquetry technique named for him, but he perfected it, and it bestows upon his creations a unique look, raising them to a level of artistry where furniture becomes sculpture. Buell created much of Versailles furniture. His masterpiece, however, was his decoration of the Dauphin's private study with flooring in wood mosaic and extraordinarily detailed paneling and marquetry. Allowed to perform private contracts, he included among his patrons such eminent royalty as King Philip V of Spain, the Duke of Bourbon, and the Electors of Bavaria and Cologne. Andrea Brustolone was an Italian woodcarver known for his furniture in the Venetian Baroque style, characterized by extravagant curves and lavish ornamentation. He went to Venice in 1677 for a year of training, moving to Rome in 1678. After returning to Venice, he engaged in decorative carving for several churches and created his famous furniture for the Venier di San Vio family. Brustolone's walnut, boxwood, and ebony pieces surpass ordinary functional limits of the furniture. They are constructed of elaborately carved figures. The framework of Brustolone's chairs and side tables were carved as tree branches, with further supports carved in ebony. Backrests of the chairs, which were never touched with the upright posture that modern etiquette demanded, were carved with symbols of vanity, fire, and music. Essentially, Rococo is an exclusively interior style because the wealthy and aristocratic moved back to Paris from Versailles. Paris was already built up, and so rather than engaging in major architectural additions, they simply renovated the interiors of existing buildings. Rococo architecture also brought significant changes to the building of structures, emphasizing privacy rather than the grand public grandeur. Though educated thought was refined throughout the 18th century, a new kind of intellectual exchange began to progress, which became known as the Enlightenment. Out of this new cultural movement, ideas about art changed, and Rococo ideals of frivolity and elegant eroticism became less and less relevant, although some Rococo artists continued to paint in their own provocative style.